What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's title fight at bantamweight for the women's WBA title between the champion Cherneka Johnson and the challenger Nina Hughes. Guys, before we continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, could you please hit subscribe, like this video as well. Also, hit the bell notification button. That'll ensure that you'll be notified every time I put something out that's new. Thank you. All right, guys, an exciting rematch on the undercard here in Sydney, Australia this weekend of George Kambosos Jr. versus Jake Wiley. We have Sugar Neeks, the champ, Cherneka Johnson, defending her belt that she took from the Brit, Nina Hughes. Guys, before I continue and break this video down, I want to remind everyone what happened the first time these two ladies met. Could any of you guys remember the name Dan Hennessy?
Judge Oliveira scores the competition 95-95 draw. Judge Keatley scores the competition 96-94, 98-92. Still the WBA Women's Bantamweight World Champion. He got off the blue card.
He made a mistake.
Wow.
If you weren't aware, Hennessy was the referee. Talk about an iconic blunder. I watch all these Aussie boxing matches, and since that fight happened, I think about 10 months ago, I thought they were going to get rid of him altogether. I actually saw him doing another fight, but I gotta admit, I haven't seen him recently. I don't wish ill will on anybody who makes mistakes. I'm a firm believer that we all deserve a second chance. So, Dan Hennessy, if you're watching this, I hope you're well. Moving forward, this is the rematch. Cherneka Johnson has said in an interview that the only reason this rematch is taking place is because of the announcer's blunder. I don't know if I agree with that. It was a very exciting fight. You had Nina Hughes the champion. Cherneka Johnson took her belt. Why doesn't the champion get a rematch? And here we are. In the first fight, if you broke down the punch stats, you would see that it was a tale of two game plans. You had Nina Hughes, who was going there and overloading on her power shots, and Cherneka Johnson, who was using her jab. Nina Hughes, the stats don't lie, she wasn't as efficient, and her landing ratio was way less than half than Cherneka Johnson's jab. Also, Cherneka Johnson was way more accurate on both her overall punches and her jab, which eventually gave her the fight. The scoring was all over the shop. If you're unaware of both of these fighters, what we're going to do in this video is talk a little bit about their path to where it brought them to this fight. We're going to go over the resume, talk a little bit about the odds, and stay tuned to the end of this video because that's where I'm going to give you my prediction and tell you where to put your money. Now let's talk a little bit about what to expect come Saturday night here in Sydney. The world of women's boxing is gearing up for a blockbuster showdown this Saturday, March 22nd at Kudos Bank Arena in Sydney, Australia, for the highly anticipated rematch between Cherneka Johnson and Nina Hughes, a fight fueled by fierce rivalry, sky-high expectations, and a thirst for redemption. Current WBA bantamweight world champion Cherneka Johnson will defend her title against a challenger determined to overturn the outcome of their last encounter. At 30 years old, Johnson comes into the bout with a solid record of 16 wins, 6 by knockout, and only 2 losses. Her technical prowess and relentless ring pressure have established her as one of the most respected champions in her division. Meanwhile, 42-year-old Nina Hughes is set to prove that age is just a number in the squared circle. With a record of 6 wins, 2 by knockout, and 1 loss. Hughes has shown admirable tenacity, especially after a razor-thin majority decision loss in May of 2024. Both fighters have been working intensively in their training camps. Hughes promises a more aggressive and tactical approach to avoid letting the fight go the distance, while Johnson aims to consolidate her dominance with a performance that leaves no doubt about her superiority. This electrifying contest will see pride, talent, and competitive spirit on full display. Will Hughes avenge her loss, or will Johnson reaffirm her status as the undisputed champion? The answer will be determined in the ring. Guys, like I always say, only time will tell. When you look at Nina Hughes, fight fans, I wouldn't blame you to see the record 6-1 and then see her age at 42 years old and think that, oh, she got into the sport late. Well, yes and no. She got into boxing in her mid-20s for fitness. She loved it, picked it up, which is actually the case for a lot of us. We don't all become pro. She took the amateur route. She actually had a stellar amateur career in the UK and came razor close to becoming an Olympian. Things didn't work out. She stepped away from boxing, started a family, years passed, and then in her late 30s, she saw the influx of women's boxing matches worldwide being promoted, and she was like, hey, let me throw my hat into the ring and see if I can make a go of it. And sure enough, by 2022, she was the WBA world champion. She held that title until 2024, until Cherneka Johnson took it, and this is the rematch. Cherneka Johnson, she's all action. Neither one of these ladies take a step back, so it's really going to come down to the adjustments they made in the first fight. I'm going to be interested to see if Cherneka sticks with that jab, and to see if Hughes changes up her game plan a bit and tries to jab a little bit more instead of throwing power punches to get her way in. She's going to be the shorter fighter, and her reach isn't as long as Cherneka. So I would like to think that she's going to use the jab a little bit more, maybe some head feints, sneak her way into the pocket, and set up the power shots instead of throwing them without anything in front of them. Let's take a closer look at Cherneka Johnson's career. Guys, Johnson's 16-2 with 6 knockouts out of 254 bantamweights in the world. She's ranked number 5. She goes in the ring with a 38% career knockout to win ratio, and the 30-year-old is an orthodox fighter, standing at 5'5". We last saw her fight Nina Hughes, who was undefeated 6-0. She won a majority decision in the 10th. Ellie Scotney 6-0. She lost a decision in the 10th. Ramadan 29-3 won a decision. Escobar 12-2 won a majority decision in the 10th. When you think about her style, when you think about her tenacity, her showmanship, her nickname, her Instagram, her social media, she's all action. It was like Cherneka Johnson was built for the bright lights. So she is going to be a tough out for Nina Hughes to show up in Australia and take that belt away from her. This is what makes it all more exciting. Now let's take a look at Nina Hughes and what she's been up to. Nina Hughes is 6-1 with 2 knockouts out of 254 bantamweights in the world. She's ranked number 12 and is the ranked number 1 bantamweight in the UK. She carries into the ring a 33% career knockout to win ratio. The 42-year-old Brit is an orthodox fighter standing at 5'3". She last fought Cherneka Johnson, who was 15-2. She lost a majority decision in the 10th. Katie Healy 6-0, UD in the 10th. Jamie Mitchell 8-0, UD in the 10th. Michaela 7-9 knockout in the 2nd. Gallagher 4-0 majority decision in the 10th. Like I said, she's coming in the ring with an amateur pedigree. She is a former world champion, and you know she's going to want her belt back. When I look at these two fighters side by side, it's tough to ignore the age discrepancy. 30 years old versus 42 years old. The one thing with the women's game, though, is the sport is different due to those shortened rounds. This is why when you see the ladies, it's almost like the round starts and it's 2 bulls crashing into each other. Ultra exciting, and I have to tip my hat to the Australian promoters, because there are some exciting female boxing matches in Australia. It almost seems like every other month. So this is going to be another one of those. Cherneka is going to be the taller fighter. She's going to have the reach, and she is the champion. I can't talk down on that enough in regards to how tough it is to take that belt away from a champion. We look at the odds of this fight. Let's take a look at the money line first. Remember, guys, I do live in Australia, so my betting app is called Sportsbet, and this is what the money line shows as of today. If you were to take Cherneka Johnson just to win the fight, $100 gets you 71 back. If you would take Nina to win the fight, 100 gets you 230. So it's not quite a 50-50 fight, but it's pretty close. Nina Hughes is the slight underdog at $2.30. The draw pays 15-1. Remember, guys, in the first fight, one of the judges had it as a draw. So I'm asking you in the comment section below, is anyone going to put $100 or whatever your wager is on the draw? 15-1. Big winner. Good luck to that. Now, let's look at the method of victory. This way will give you a little bit more opportunities to add a little bit of juice on your bet. Now, I do like the $1.71 and $2.30 for either or to win, basically on the money line by itself. But if you want to add in different odds for a points decision or a knockout, Cherneka by points is $1.93, meaning that if you put her on a parlay and she wins by knockout, you lose your parlay. That's why the odds are a bit higher. If you want Cherneka by a knockout, 10-1. Nina Hughes points or decision, 265. Nina Hughes knockout, 12-1. Neither one of these ladies are knockout artists. That's why the money is in the favor of the decision. 193 for Cherneka, 265 for Nina. Where I think about putting my money on and my prediction for this fight, I got to think about the age. I got to think about what's at stake. And if you watch the last fight, it was all action. So you got to expect the same thing. It was less than a year ago. So I don't expect either fighter to show any signs of decline. Where my money's going to go, I'm going to take Cherneka Johnson by decision. I think that she's going to overwhelm Nina with that pace. I think that it's going to be enough to win a points decision. I think her jab is technical enough to keep Nina away from her, considering she has the height and reach advantage. And I think she's just going to do the same thing, circle away from Nina's power and outpoint her. In the comment section below, let me know if you agree or disagree. Are you taking and new or and still? And guys, if you haven't seen the breakdown of the main event of this card between George Kambosos Jr. and the late replacement, 24-year-old Australian knockout artist Jake Wiley, stay tuned to the channel because that's coming up right now.